Good morning. We're here today in protest of gun violence. I myself am proud to be an American, and I'm happy to live here. But the current state of our gun laws are an embarrassment. Our news outlets surround us with gun violence on the daily. Just today, there was yet another shooting in Ocala and last week in Miami, in our very own state. First, we need to bring attention to the issue. The civil rights movement was a foundation for modern American reform. According to the University of Washington's Institute for Health Matrix, they evaluated 3.85 deaths per 100,000 are by firearms. That's 8 times more than Canada and 27 times more than Denmark. We are the nation with the 31st most amount of gun deaths. But the CDC is severely restricted on the amount of research they can do on the effects of gun violence and gun control. The Human Development Index in 2012 estimated that the U.S. had 88 guns per capita. That's more than 1 per adult. We have more guns than the state of Yemen, who is currently in a civil war. In order to make change, we have to vote. Becoming civically engaged is the most powerful tool we have in this fight. We have to exercise the rights that others cannot and keep our representatives accountable. In Australia, gun deaths went down by 1/3 14 years after implementing gun control laws that include a 28-day wait period as well as buybacks. Japan, the nation with one of the strictest gun laws, had less than 20 mass shootings in the past 100 years. The amount the U.S. had last year in itself is atrocious. We demand required background checks and justifiable reasons to own a gun. We need to allow gun violence research and gun violence prevention programs. Jay Dickey, the original sponsor of the law that banned the CDC from doing research on gun control, admitted that that law was a mistake. We need to limit the firing capacity of a weapon that a civilian can buy. And we need a clear definition of assault rifles in our laws. We encourage buyback programs and registration. We want a high-capacity magazine ban. Magazines that hold more than 10 rounds serve the sole purpose of shooting as many bullets as far as possible. We want universal background checks. The Las Vegas shooter was a law-abiding citizen and got those weapons legally. We want federal laws that require someone to go through background checks that they need to buy a firearm. And currently, our laws state that you only need to go through a background check if they're buying through a licensed dealer. We demand to close the private sale loopholes for gun shows. More than 100 medical organizations have called on Congress to restore funding. The ATF is the only federal agency with jurisdiction to regulate the gun industry and has been operating with one hand tied behind its back. They're unable to even digitize records on gun sales. The government is not being transparent with gun research. And with every other nation that started implementing gun control, their rates of homicide per guns have severely lowered. In order to make change, we have to continue to fight and to stand against our representatives who clearly haven't done anything since this happened time and time again. I call action, and we will continue our fight, our protests, and by voting in the primaries on August 28th and November 6th, we'll finally have lobbyists out, such as the NRA, and representatives that are monetarily funded to not make the changes that would prevent so many deaths that are due to gun violence. We should be arming our teachers with number 2 pencils instead of guns. It's embarrassing where we are with our gun laws, and we aren't going to stop until we finally have laws that would not only protect our children in schools, but people in churches, concerts, movies, and anywhere else. No one should be going to school afraid that they'll get a bullet. Thank you.